Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I made a video on this. I walked for 30 minutes and talked about this, but I wanted to speak on it in a different way. I got a little distracted by some of the stuff that was going on around me. Didn't really get to articulate myself very well. Maybe I can do it better this way, but straight to the point, man. I saw the Puffy beating up Cassie in the hotel lobby video, man. It was awful. If you guys haven't seen it, he's basically kicking her, dragging her. Kicked her twice, dragged her a little bit. It wasn't just him dragging her all the way across the hall or nothing like that, but he did drag her a little ways, threw some type of vase at her, threw her to the ground. I mean, it was just really aggressive, abusive nonsense, man. And I was extremely disturbed by that, as I'm sure the rest of America and the rest of the world is, man. It was not a good video to watch. I wasn't surprised, unfortunately, by his behavior, but I just don't think anything of him at this point after doing something like that. And I don't think most of us do. Disappointed is the word, I guess, but say I'm surprised? Nah, man. This kind of behavior has already been alleged about him for a long time, but to see him in action was disturbing. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When it came to Puffy, I saw something wrong with what he did on the TV show when he asked those guys to walk however many miles to get some damn cheesecake. Now, I know a lot of that could have been done by MTV and, you know, it was for TV and all of that. I get it. But there was something strangely put together about that for me. Strangely put together, strangely aggressive. And I don't know about that. When I was a kid watching that, I didn't know about that. I'm not going to say I was a child, because I really wasn't. But I wasn't sure about it. You know what I mean? It was one of those situations where you just have to wonder, like, is this person's character for real? And does he like this is a thing. And I remember my mother used to say also, like, be wary of a person that never sleeps. And at the time, during that era of his life, he used to talk about how he never slept. Like, that's not normal. That will catch up to you in the long run in many different ways. So these are just little tea leaves that I gathered along the way. And listening to my very wise mother who passed away, believe it or not, probably around the exact same time that this video footage took place. In March of 2016 is when I lost her. In March of 2016 is when this is happening. So I don't know when in March. My mom died on the 30th of March, so the end. But somewhere in there is when this happened. And he bought the footage from the hotel for $50,000. I think the hotel should face consequences for that, to say the least. That's what's been alleged that happened. Why it took so long for this footage to come out is because it was in his possession. He likely bought that footage for 50 grand and had it probably on his hard drive along with everything else that the feds probably found in the raid about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So that's what took so long for this footage to come out, from what I understand. But, you know, it's just one of those situations where I think that all men should consider this when watching this footage, that sometimes we can find ourselves angered by whatever our significant other does, and maybe the way some of us handle our aggression is physical, but that does not work when you're dealing with domestic situations. It does not work. A man, I was raised in the old school, a man should never put his hands on a woman. Now, how to define a woman, that's your business. I don't want to have that conversation in any way. But as long as a man is walking the earth with strength in his body, it's his responsibility to control his anger and control his violent ways, whatever that may be, however that threshold goes. And if you're pointing at people who are weaker than you, or you're pointing it at women, it speaks to you being lesser all the way around, in my opinion. You know what I mean? There's a way to go about handling yourself, and you got to figure out another way than to put your hands on your significant other or someone weaker than you, or a woman specifically. I've told you guys a number of times that I had an issue with my ex. I didn't hit her, I didn't beat her, but I did allow it to get to a point where I ended up getting scarred on my arm because she pushed me into a closet area. I was not battered. I created the environment for which that took place, and I hold myself accountable for my half of the actions. And I was thankful that the Lord refrained me from being more so aggressive to where I actually put my hands on her. But the point is, it got to a point where it was a physical problem. and the relationship wasn't meant to be. If you have to get into a physical altercation with your loved one, chances are that probably ain't the person you need to be with. If y'all can't handle your problems without putting hands on one another or someone beating on somebody, then y'all got to figure out another way to go about your lives, because it obviously shouldn't be with one another, because eventually that can go completely left and it could turn into a legal situation or worse. And so these are the type of things that come to mind when I see that footage. Obviously, this is a man who has a lot of power. This is a man who, you know, probably had the mental edge in a lot of situations based on his status in life. So he could very well buy the footage and probably have a longer rope from which to allow for certain stuff that he does to take place than maybe a regular person who's walking down the street would be able to get away with, based on what he can do and what he can ultimately offer in life. But at the end of the day, if you're going to stick around for that type of behavior, and some of that is going to fall on your choice to stay there. Now, whether or not you're able to leave, if this doesn't apply to that situation, obviously I'm not talking about those type of situations, but if you're able to leave and the person's abusing you, you should probably pick up and go. you should definitely put that on the forefront of what you're doing, because at the end of the day, this doesn't stop just because you stay. Once a person realizes they can treat you this way, most human beings are going to continue to push the envelope and push the limits on what it is you will allow. And eventually, you're going to have to defend yourself against them or continue to allow that to take place. So if you're being abused, or if you're an abuser and you know it, leave. Get out of that situation. You being the abuser does not mean that you're going to face anything less than what you deserve at some point. You might as well not even let it transpire that way. You know what I mean? That's what it really comes down to. If you're somebody who likes to beat on women, it's on you to get some help for yourself. You know who you are. You know what you're capable of. You know what type of strength you have, what type of anger you have, what type of childhood trauma, whatever you've been through. If you're that type of person, it's on you to get help for you. Don't wait for somebody else to see you and say, yo, let me help this person. And don't expect that that evil inside of you that wants to make you an abuser is going to allow you to be helped. It's going to take from within yourself to say, I don't want to be someone that hurts people that I care about. I don't want to be somebody that ultimately is going to face the consequences for having this type of reputation. And so that's what I'm saying. It's just, for a man that had all the resources that he had, all the power that he has, you would think with him being in the public eye that he would try to get some help for his mental health concerns. Obviously, that's what I think it is. Anytime somebody's an abuser, there's something wrong there. But that's how I identify what he did. It was abusive. It was ridiculous in nature, and now he's going to have to face legal consequences that could have been prevented if he would have found a way to control his anger far before all this took place. And when you have the resources and the money that he has, that's on you, man. That's how I look at it. It's disappointing. It's disturbing. And I'm glad that I wasn't in the presence of it happening. You know what I mean? That's what it really comes down to. I really don't pride myself on being an aggressive man or a violent man, but I'm pretty certain that my instincts would have told me to intervene if I saw that taking place. And that's what abusers have to understand, that regular people and all that they bring to the table have to make a decision when they see you do something like that to either get involved or not. And then depending on what they decide to do, it could have effects on you. However that goes. Many people have lost their lives in these situations. So I don't take that lightly when I say that. That's why I word it the way that I do. Domestic situations, I was taught, you know, you probably want to stay out of people's business. You know, you don't want to, you can make it worse. You can escalate the problem by inserting yourself. But at the same time, you seeing a dude beating the hell out of a woman, a lot of men are going to stop that situation, or at least do their best to try. And so you don't know who you are until you're in that situation. But I pride myself on being somebody that's not going to sit back and watch you do that. You know, that's what it really comes down to. I don't claim to be the toughest dude. I don't claim to be able to win every battle. But I'm disappointed in myself if that transpires and I don't at least say, yo, let me get in between her and him and try to provide some barrier for her protection. So you know, I feel very bad for Cassie. Obviously, she's been paid, but I'm not a slave to God, to money. I don't believe money's my God, so I don't think that heals the scars, especially when you're used to that lifestyle anyway. It's just a maintenance of the lifestyle you're used to. It's not necessarily providing some type of life-changing thing when she gets $100 million if she was next to a man with, like Puffy. She lived that life already. That's not super exciting. The pain and the scars of being with an abuser don't go away just because somebody hands you a bunch of paper. You know what I mean? You're just going to carry your scars everywhere you go regardless. And so this is why it's so important, if you call yourself a loved one, to not become an abuser, because you really scar these people. And you end up turning all of what it is that you have built and all that it is that you have and put it into a position where you could lose it. And that's what it really comes down to. You put yourself in a position where all your hard work get undone. And so that's what we don't want. As men, you know what I mean? If you were a woman that's beating the hell out of you, then obviously you got to defend yourself. But if she didn't say something or did something, you just got to remove yourself from that situation if at all possible. If she didn't break something back. But if you try to put your hands on her, you might as well just put your hands on yourself. You might as well beat yourself up, Fight Club style. Because that's exactly what it's going to transpire to become for you. Once it becomes knowledgeable to the people around you, and public knowledge, it's going to affect your reputation. You got to deal with random people who are going to see you that way, you know what I mean? And whatever the hell that goes through their head come with that. It's a reputation that you don't want. Being a wife beater, men look at you like they want to harm you just because they know you've done that. Maybe they were raised in households where abusers were in the house and they couldn't do nothing about it because they were too small. So you know what they're going to do when they see somebody like you. They're going to take all that energy out on you. You know what I mean? So that's why it's not good to be an abuser, man. It's not good to be that. You need to get help for that if that's who you are, so that not only do you not weaponize yourself against somebody else, but also you don't allow that energy to weaponize itself against you and whatever comes with it. And so now Puffy got to deal with that. This happened, what, 8 years ago? Now he got to deal with not only the fact that he did that and everything that come with it, but that he covered it up, which means jail time. You know what I mean? Which means on top of everything else that he's got going on in regards to, you know, the federal situation. So I can see this man doing a lot of time, man. And look, as many people have said, I'm not going to be the first to say this, but if he was doing all of this in public, one has to be concerned with what took place outside of the public eye, outside of what was in front of a camera. You know what I mean? The things that were alleged alone were difficult enough. But then when you consider the fact that he did this knowing the cameras around and knew he could throw some money at the situation to simply get away with it. Imagine what he was doing when there's no cameras around. You know what I mean? That's the type of individual we have to assume this man is. And then you hear about his sons, and his son specifically, the young man, I believe his name King Combs, I'm not sure which one of his sons, but he got some situations legally that paint him out to be in the same light. Something that happened on a boat or something like that. I'm not sure what it is, so I ain't gonna go any further, but it's like this is what he thought was normal, and this is what his father was doing, covering it up. Why wouldn't the young man think that it's okay to do this? He can get away with it too, off of the strength of his father's money. His father go throw money at any problem. No telling what else they threw money at to suppress. It's just, it never ends. The speculation balloons into something that could far exceed reality, and that's just what you open up when you're Puffy or of his status and you do what it is that we now have seen him do. Everything that people wonder about him is going to be understood to be true just because of what it is we've now seen him do and what we understand took place in order to keep it suppressed. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is, man. So I don't respect Puffy, man. Not after what I've seen. I appreciate his contributions to the culture, the music, all of that. I had a great time listening to what it is that he produced and all of this. But now that I've seen what he's done, man, I got sisters. My mom passed the same time he did that. Like, I don't have a whole lot of respect for him. You know what I mean? Like, literally. My mom passed away the same time he did that. So when I see him, I'm not only going to remember what he did, but I'm going to remember it happened in March 2016. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's very difficult to ever view that man in a positive light again, man. And he did it to himself. That's what it really comes down to. If you don't get help, you did it to yourself. Culpability, you gotta be responsible for your own anger, your own mental health, your own violent tendencies or sexual deviant tendencies, whatever is your thing. And only you really know, and God know what it is. If you don't take care of it, it will take care of you, if you know what I mean. It will be your undoing. And a lot of people are building a lot of stuff in their lives. They're working on a lot of stuff. They're trying to get things done in this world. And all the stuff that they're trying to build will be undone because of the stuff that they do in the dark, man. Because of the stuff that they don't allow their ego to just allow them to take care of. You know, let's get your ego out of the way so you can get the help you need to, so that you don't destroy yourself. That's really what it comes down to. A guy like Puffy, he wasn't going to have nobody tell him get some help. He needs to see that in the mirror. He needs to understand that that was something he needed to handle, and he wasn't good enough of a human being to protect his loved ones by getting help for himself. And that's what I want to say, man. Be a good enough of a human being. If you say you love somebody, you really mean it. And you know damn well you are going to, with your actions, create problems for them, then it's on you to love them and yourself enough to do something about it, to keep that from happening. And it ain't mean covering it up if you got the money. It doesn't mean just isolating yourself and never leaving the house. It means addressing the situation head on, having the hard moments, dealing with that professionally if at all possible, channeling your aggression a different way, meditation, whatever works. You got to figure it out. Because you hating yourself enough to let yourself become a monster ain't good enough when it comes to the consequences it has on your loved ones. That ain't good enough. And that's what it really comes down to. He got a little daughter that he is likely not going to see raised. He got 2 young girls that are going to have to deal with the fact, however they do, that their father is an abuser. As they're coming up into dating life, as they going into that coming of age era in their life. 2 daughter twins that are seeing this footage, who may or may not have known their father was like this. You know, and that's what I would tell him, like, when you did that, you didn't know love was coming. His daughter, he didn't know. Like, you don't know what the Lord had in store for you that you're going to want in life, that's going to be ripped away from you because of what you did years ago. Get it done now as it pertains to getting help. Don't be comfortable with your demons, y'all. They're not meant to lay dormant. They are meant to destroy you eventually. And someday on that calendar, it's going to flip right to that right day, and them demons is going to be exposed to the world, and you're going to explode because of it. That's what it really comes down to. It's a self-destructive mechanism. Sinful nature and violent nature and abusive nature. That's self-destructive. And a lot of y'all building stuff are going to have things tomorrow that you're going to lose because of the actions of not getting help for yourself today. So that's what I got to say, man. I think, you know, I don't have ill will toward anybody. I pray for all abusers. I think about Kim Porter. I don't know if something happened to her on his watch. I don't know if it was his fault that it happened. But when you see footage like this, obviously that's where people's minds are going to go. It was understood that he was abusive to her based on the alleged conversations surrounding his name. And he was abusive to Cassie. You have to wonder if he was abusive to other women that he was attached to that we know of. I thought about J-Lo. Did he ever put his hands on J-Lo? One has to assume he did it to everybody he was with. Seems so natural for him to be that way in that hallway. To be honest with you, that looked like something he was comfortable doing. And I see the other side of it. Maybe she cheated on him. Maybe she did something. Maybe he caught her doing something. Who knows what happened? But like I said, once you become an abuser, once you start putting your hands on a woman, it don't really matter to the world what caused her to, you know, to be in that position. Nobody's going to look at her and say, yo, you did this, 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 and this, and it made him mad, and whatever happened after that is your fault. It ain't. It ain't. Not in the court of public opinion. It's your fault for allowing yourself to not keep your cool. It's your fault for not finding another way to handle that. And that's what I feel. I don't really care what she may or may not have done to make him that angry. I quite frankly don't want to hear the conversation about that. I don't want to hear that retort when I see stuff like this. Because I really, if I'm her brother, I really don't care. You see what I'm saying? Whatever the hell she did, if you want to run a fade with somebody, run it with me. You understand what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. Don't fade my sister. Run it with me. If you got a problem with what the woman in my life did, you take that out on me. You understand what I'm saying? And we'll handle it as men. But don't take that out on her. Give me a call. Let me know that I'm owed an ass whooping for something she did. But the last thing you want to do is put your hands on her, because not only does that make me want to hurt you, but that also hurts you in the sense that your reputation is shot. Hurts you in the sense that now you got a domestic situation. Hurts you in the sense that now you got to deal with the jacket of being an abuser if you end up going to jail. You know what I'm saying? I think every man, most men who are worth their salt would rather the sister's boyfriend call him up and say, yo, I'm angry at her, we need to fade, or I'm gonna beat her. All right, I'm on my way. We can run that fade. That's not gonna be a problem. But you put your hands on her and it's all bets off on what happens after that. You see what I'm saying? Daughter, same thing. Obviously, I'm not a father, so I can't even speak to that. But if I'm Cassie's daughter, Cassie's father, I'm pretty sure my opinions are even more extreme. A lot more extreme. And I don't care how much money Puffy got. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. That man better keep himself, he better keep some distance from me. Like, put your hands on my wife or my daughter or my whoever it is. You better keep your distance, brother. Because I ain't interested in running the fade. The fade is open before that. After that, I'm just trying to stay free after whatever happens. That's literally it. I'm just trying to stay free. What's important to me is remaining on the right side of the law. You understand what I'm saying? I hope you do. All you abusers out there, I hope you do. And don't think just because you famous as hell that I'm gonna be thinking about that or what you could do, this, that. This brain don't care about none of that. I really don't. When it comes to stuff like this, I care less. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't too big. You're none of that. I don't care, bro. So just keep your hands off of the women in my life personally. That's what I want to say to all my fellow brothers out there who are married to women that I care about or close to women I care about. I'm never going to be okay with you hitting women. Not in my life or outside of that. Just know that. I'm not one of them dudes that's cool with that. On no level. I think men got to find a way to handle their anger better than that. I think that there are outlets for us to fix our problems. There are outlets to get back at people for you know, if you want to get back, there's another way. You just got to be intelligent about it and get through the moment where you feel like snapping or whatever the hell it is. Because that's a difficult thing. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes you feel like snapping. Sometimes you see red and you can't control yourself. In that case, you just cross the line from mental health. And now whatever happens, whether it's your fault or not, we're going to look like it. We're going to look at it as if it is. And that's just the consequence of not getting help sooner. And that's really what it comes down to. That's a good old case of my dog ate my homework. Well, why was the homework anywhere near the dog? Should have got help sooner, brother. Don't wait until you snap and then ask for sympathy. I ain't interested in none of that. Get your help. You know what I'm saying? You know the signs. You know what's inside of you. You know you may have that in you. And if you don't know, I legitimately feel sorry for you because I ain't going to care in the moment then. So I might as well feel for you now. That's what I feel about that. If you snap, you snap. I've heard of people snapping. Don't get it twisted. Sometimes people just snap, bro. Sometimes they done took a bad drug 6 years ago and they're snap. All of that. Dog ate my homework. Keep the homework away from the dog. Mind your mind and it won't be lost. Literally. You know what I mean? Just like you got to mind anything else that you want to keep from losing. Mind your mind. and you will not lose it. But if you dabble in all types of different things and you don't get help for your problems, and then you think you can take that out on this person, that person, that holds consequences for you. You know, that's what it really comes down to. Some of them consequences are not worth it, especially if you get arrested and you got this type of jacket on you. Like Puffy about to have on him. You know, like Drake may have on him, depending on what is being alleged being true. So that's what I'm saying to you, man. Don't be an abuser. Don't be a fan. If you know what fans abbreviated for these days in 2024, don't be that. Because if you are that, people are going to want to do something to you about it. Over that. They ain't going to be cool with you over that. We all responsible for ourselves. At the end of the day, man, every man got to deal with his demons. Every woman has to deal with their demons. And if you're a provoking woman and a man does something to you, you also know whether the world holds you accountable or not if you did too much. Now, sometimes victims may be mistaken. They think they did something wrong when they didn't. Again, far beyond me to understand it from case to case to case. But I know of situations where women have done certain things and they dealt with a man who snapped. And they were looking for a man who had that type of edge to begin with. Also, another defensive mechanism. Sometimes you choose people that are no good for you because you don't really care for self. And unfortunately, if you don't get help for that, you may not be none the wiser and end up with somebody that does exactly what their functionality is. Hurt you. The only type of people you want to bring around you are people that hurt you. I've heard of that too. The only people you attract to are people who have that crazy look in their eye or that crazy trait that basically has them upside your head every Sunday morning. You got to get help for that. And as a society, we need to create more safe spaces and more intelligent spaces for treatment for those problems. Because the kids end up involved in those circumstances. And then the child can't do nothing but be victims in the situation. So there needs to be more intelligent treatment spaces for those problems. As I've said in regards to various different forms of abuse, there needs to be more intelligent treatment spaces, I guess is what I'm saying. More group therapy sessions, whatever the hell needs to happen for us as a society to start finding solutions that find the traits of abuse before they manifest into monsters. That's what needs to be found. We need to do a better job of identifying these traits in people and getting them responsible and intelligent help. I tell you, that is one of the biggest parts of this conversation. Sometimes people can't get help for themselves, but if we have more intelligent spaces from which that help can come, and we start digging into how we can do that even more so, put a little more of our emphasis on getting that done, I think we can cut down on so much of this type of stuff. So many victimhood circumstances do not have to manifest if we just put a lot more of our attention into finding help for these abusive individuals or potential abusive individuals. Help for them is very important, not just for the victims. So that's what I want to say, man. Let's get smarter. Let's get sharper in regards to fixing these problems. You know what I mean? Let's get more intricate in regards to identifying these traits. Let's get more close to being comfortable with having these type of conversations so that we can get a little smarter with the data that can be gathered from conversations such as these and the dialogue that can take place. I think that that's so important, man. I understand not wanting to trigger people is important, but getting to the bottom of these issues is so much more important to me. So that's what I want to say, man. Puffy, get help, brother. You're definitely going to jail, but get some damn help. Because what I saw right there, that was bad, bro. That was bad. And it's one thing to hear about somebody being abusive. It's a whole other thing to see them in the act. And I know a lot of people who watch me. You may have been abused. You may be abusers. Get some help, brother. That ain't just for Puffy. Get some help, sister. Some of the women are abusive. That ain't just a man thing. Women can be abusive too. Beating the hell up on their daughters and their sons and their husbands and stuff. That stuff is possible. It's going down. It's happening. Get help for yourself. Don't give yourself excuses and then with the other side of your mouth say you love the people that you do. It's your responsibility to not be a weapon against them, no different than you wouldn't want anybody else to hurt them. If you hurting them, then you ain't no better than somebody on the street hurting them. You feel me? So that's what it really comes down to, man. Get help for yourself. We all struggle with something, but it's also all of our responsibility to fix our problems, to address our problems, and to be a part of a solution to someone else's, if at all possible. I think that's our responsibility. So that's pretty much what I have to say, man. Prayers out to the victims in the situation. Prayers out to the children in the situation. I wish good things for Puffy's kids, especially a little love there, man. She don't deserve to have to grow up with this type of crap, you know what I mean, going on around her this early in her life. She don't deserve to have a man abusing her when she grow up, or none of that craziness. None of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'll say to Puffy, bro. You got daughters, brother. What if somebody put their hands on your daughters like you put your hand on Cassie? How would you feel? You want that man in the ground, right? BDF 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.